Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for joining us. And thank you to those who staying on. And thank you also to the audience that is watching online. Remind all of you in the audience that we are live streaming today's events. Our next presentation is from the IT Productivity Suite team. And please welcome the team.
Morning, my name's Alex Walton. I'm the project manager for the Productivity Suite. And what we have in front of you is a great collection of teammates, including some that are also in the audience right now. I have Bill Allison next to me. He's our sponsor. And then Sion, who is responsible for on-premise software. Gabe Gonzalez, who's our tech lead. And then Inez Bailey, who's a combination change management and communications management. And then we have Joseph at the end, one of the students that are going to be working with us. In addition, in the audience, we have Bernie Rossi, who's also part of our tech lead team, and Mimi Mugler, who specializes in calendar. And we're going to go at a pretty fast pace. There's one or two slides for each of the main speakers. Bill will be coming up first, and we'll move from there.
Great. Good morning, everybody. Okay. Get our slides going. So I wanted to I'm only going to take a couple minutes because I really think the most interesting part of this is going to be when the team is talking in some detail about what we're doing. And we're going to try to keep it pretty informal. So our plan had been, as we're presenting, if there are questions, you can raise your hand or something, and we'll try to answer them at the end of each of our sections. So I'm going to go first, and then we'll go through the on-premise software, and then we'll talk about the rest. So the vision at a very high level is what I'm going to speak to, and I think that this has been in process for a long time before the OE project. But basically, what we wanted to do was redefine the way software and services are delivered in IT. This is much bigger than this project, but the project really sets the tone for where we're going in the future. In the past, and still in some areas today, buying software and services occurs one transaction at a time over thousands of transactions. That's really expensive for us in terms of deliberation about, do we want this, can we afford it? And it's expensive for the vendors to sell to us, and it fragments us. It also creates a climate of haves and have-nots. So some departments can have all the tools that they need, others don't. And we really felt like Berkeley is a world-class institution. We need to be competitive against any university, any college, anywhere in the world. And the only way that we can do that is by introducing what we've been calling a culture of abundance. And so a lot of times it's easy for us to look at the state budget and look at things like that and feel down about it. And we've seen it impact our colleagues and other programs. But the truth is, Berkeley is actually doing pretty well. You know, I've seen multiple 100 million plus buildings being erected, new programs being created, and in the space of time that I've been here, which is only relatively few years, we've gone from being a one-something billion-dollar enterprise, and that's nearly doubled, and we're a $2 billion organization. And so we need to hold our vendors accountable to give us the stuff that we want and that we hear from the community that would help them do their job. So that's really what this is all about. We've rolled out now most of the on-premise parts of this are available. They're in departments. We have work-at-home stuff. The team will talk about that more. We're in a pivot point now. We've delivered a lot of the on-premise software, and the big change is about to unroll in the form of switching to Google for our apps for education, which will be our email and calendar. That's an enormous change for campus, and we're really aware of that. And so I think Inez will be speaking to how we're going to try to make that go as smoothly as we can. We really want to hear from you. And when we roll that out, it's also really in a partnership with the other big OE project, Shared Services. So we've actually enlisted them probably ahead of when they planned to do our support. So they will be providing support for departments and users through the Shared Services program, and that partnership is really critical and key to us as well. So I won't go on because I know that you're actually looking really to hear more of the specifics about when and what we're doing and how it'll work. So we'll all be available also afterwards for questions. Thank you.
So the first phase of Productivity Suite was the Adobe software distribution. We signed the deal about 2 days before Cal Day, and we had about 2 weeks to deliver before the start of school. Rapid delivery was our priority since we wanted to make sure the software was in the hands of students on the first day of school. Successfully, we delivered. But in our after lessons learned segment, we knew that we wanted campus feedback to ensure our process was efficient for us and for the community. With the formation of the campus user technology and architecture team, we've created a forum to engage our campus partners, improve delivery, and collect feedback. We've adapted our proposed process for Microsoft delivery based on their feedback and will continue to seek improvements in all software delivery. The group is also helping us collect feedback on the administrative computing standards, which are affecting end users across campus. With Productivity Suite funded by Common Good funding, we're getting the latest and greatest IT tools at the lowest cost to campus. We'll have access to all new releases and look forward to Adobe Creative Suite 6 and Windows 8 this fall. Using the same principles of Productivity Suite, which is to leverage our procurement strength and improve efficiency so the campus community can focus on the core mission of teaching and learning, we negotiated deals for Mathematica and MATLAB to streamline procurement and license management. Software is a seed to creating a culture of abundance where we have access to all the tools we need to perform our jobs efficiently.
Great.
Yep, I'm pretty much done.
Okay.
Goodies, if you come see me out at the table from the vendors, t-shirts, USB drives, sunglasses.
Well, thanks you all for coming. Bill and Sion had a very positive outlook on things, and me being, an occasional engineer has a bit more of a, what's the word I would say? Oh, yeah, a more dour outlook on things. You may recall, a few months ago when this big announcement came out about we're going to Google, and then like, well, now what? So right now, the OE team, the Productivity Suite team, is in the process of solving the really hard problems. And those break up into 4 big categories. And that's identity management, privacy, features, and migration. And I'll touch on each. In the identity space, the big thing that will affect you as end users and as people across campus is the use of your CalNet ID. You use your CalNet ID to log into Blue. You use it to log into CalMail. You use it to log into your computers, some of you. And integrating that into Google and making that work like any other campus system is really important to us. Not only so that you guys have a good experience, but that as we get on more cloud services, we work with Box.net, other services that we buy from the cloud, that you guys have a consistent user experience and we're doing things the right way from the beginning, and that we don't do something now just for Google, and then in 2 years from now we have to change it because we didn't think ahead. So that's some of the work we're doing with the identity management on campus, and it's not just us, it's not just the people here. We're working with the campus identity management team, the CalNet group, the campus information privacy team, to make sure that we're touching all our bases and we get as much feedback from the technical community as possible. And on that note, another big issue with Google that some of you may be really concerned about is privacy. And the privacy kind of fits into 2 categories. One is, is my data safe in the cloud? Should I put my data in the cloud? Am I allowed to put my data in the cloud? So something we're working with IT policy is to craft a cloud data privacy policy that you guys can use, that your departments can use, so that you can say, oh, yes, I can put this information in the cloud, it's okay. And so that's really important. We've got a lot of feedback from faculty and staff that they're really worried about that. Another aspect of privacy is the student side. As a campus, we're required to follow FERPA guidelines. And Berkeley has always had a very strong stance on the privacy of student data. And so we're working with the registrar's office and our chief privacy officer to make sure that we continue to follow FERPA guidelines and that we hold student data in the highest privacy and security, even moving to the cloud. And those things take time. There's Berkeley, there's committees and there's groups, and we're not making the decisions on our own. That's the point. We're reaching out to campus, we're talking with the stakeholders. And on the last bit about privacy is we also are working on an opt-out policy so that if you don't have data that can go in the cloud, or for whatever reason, that there is a process to work through that's very clear and transparent. So moving on from privacy features, right? You guys have, you guys use email every day. Some of you probably have Gmail accounts. Does any of you use Google? Anyone? Please raise your hand. Yeah, okay. So you guys may know how to use Gmail, but it's working to get the tools you need to do your job here on campus and making sure they work correctly, but also that we don't take 10 years to get them done. So we're working with campus departmental IT people. We're working with QTAT, the group that Sion mentioned. We're working with membership from Micronet, the IT Managers Forum, to get as much feedback from support users and end users about what they need to do their job and to make sure the new system has that and that it works before we migrate anyone. And speaking of migration, the last part is making sure that how we move your data and how your experience is optimal. We're working on tools for departments to move their data at once so everyone in a department can move at once. We're working on tools for individuals to be able to move their data and to migrate themselves if they're not part of a department or maybe they don't have IT support. And all that is really wrapped up in the work we're doing on the technical side, but it also has a lot to do with the training side, which Inez will talk about. There's quite a bit of work we're doing so that we're reaching out to campus to make sure that everyone in every role they have has the proper training, not just to use the system, but to be able to help others use the system. And so we're working really hard to make it a good experience, to reach out, and not to have it an insular process. We're making decisions alone, especially on the technical side. And on that edge, we're not just working with campus, we're working with other campuses. We're reaching out to University of Michigan, NYU, also UC Santa Cruz, who just migrated to Google Apps as well. So we're really trying to reach out and have the broadest technical base we can to solve these hard problems. And on that note, I'm going to turn it over to Inez, who maybe has some more positive news.
Good morning. I think still morning? Yes. I do have positive news. I do have positive news. And really Gabe did too. There's a lot of work that's going on behind the scenes. And so it has been a little while since the announcement. But please know that there's a lot of activity and a lot of activity for the good. So we anticipate that this rollout will be wonderful and that all of the glitches are getting worked out now, right? So that when it does hit campus, it hits really strong and really well. One of the ways that we're going to do that is through training. And I saw a lot of hands to the question of who has Gmail, who's using Google. You guys are all using it now, which probably makes my work obsolete, but it can still be fun. We do want to provide all of the training that you'll need, not just to use the system, but to really take advantage of the features that are available. So there's a lot of times when you can kind of touch something, you kind of have a sense of how to get around it, but you may not be using it to its fullest extent. So to make sure that we really reach the efficiencies that we think are in the system, we want to make sure that you have the training that you need to do that. The training will be provided in a couple of ways. One of them will obviously be online. There are a number of self-paced training modules that are available even now for some of you that may want to just sort of leap in. If you actually go to the Google website, you can see that there are some tools that are available for you, and you can start working your way through them. You don't have to, but if you feel like that might be fun for you, I definitely recommend it. We will provide for you all of the modules, all of the guidelines about how to do what you're currently doing. There are things that you do now. You have inboxes with folders and you have contact lists. We're going to show you how to use those things in this new space, okay? That will be available online. There's also going to be certification training for some of the people that are supporting end users. Gabe talked about making sure that everyone who's touching the system is able to function within their role. And so part of that means not just your role as an end user, not just my own email account, but then you may be in a role that supports other end users, okay? So departmental IT people, of course we're working with those who are currently in the help desk, and we'll be supporting that phone call. And so those people are going to get some certified training to make sure that they know how to touch the system, how to use the system, and also how to answer some of your questions. Okay, so there's support for them as well. And then also there'll be training videos. I think that we may see a lot of this used by students, but some just real quick, oh my goodness, I forgot how to do fill in the blank. There's a video for that. So all of those things are going to be available for you online to touch, to take a look at. They will be on the technology website, which is where the Productivity Suite information is currently housed. In addition to that, we will have classroom training. I know people are like, oh, we can do it online. Perhaps some of it. One of the things that we learned early on is that this system, especially the calendar, may be a little challenging for some of those that consider themselves power users of the calendar in particular. There are a lot of features that the current calendar does that are going to look very different in the new environment. And we want to make sure that those people really get all the support that they need. The training team is going to be large in that sense. And I say large just because it's going to have so much knowledge. There's not so many people. But these people will know everything. We mentioned earlier that we're working with Mimi Mugler, who now handles the calendar, and also with Bernie Rossi, who works with CalMail. And they will be leading up the what we need to know about the systems that we will now have. And so we'll make sure that all of that information comes to you. We'll be meeting with groups who have particular concerns, as I said, specifically about the calendar, and there will be online classes for those people as well as some advanced training classes, okay? So lots of training, lots of how to do it, and this is the other part of the large effort. Google Guides, Google Guides, Google Guides, Google Guides. A big piece of this, and what I consider to be possibly a lot of the fun, is that you can share information with one another. I mean, after all, it's email, right? It's a calendar. It's not going to be the hardest thing that you've ever learned, I'm certain of it. And so when your neighbor down the hall says, oh my gosh, I can't find my contact list, where is it? They can pick up the phone and they can call, they can go to a video, they can schedule themselves for a class, or they can ask their Google Guide, which could be you, okay? Real simple stuff. The Google Guide's faculty, staff, students, they have a chance to serve as early adopters. So as I said, the modules are available online. There's some training that you can already begin to do if you choose to. Some of these people may be interested in being early adopters. And as the Google Guide, you would have that option. And basically what you would be doing then is providing support to a community of your peers. You're not going to have to go out necessarily and teach classes, although if you have an aptitude and interest, I'm sure we can use you. But in particular, you're just going to be helping the people in your department. Okay, there's going to be someone who says, oh no, I'm your Google Guide. I'll give you a hat, you'll be happy. People will know that when they get stuck, they can just walk down the hall and ask you for a little assistance. Really fast, really easy, and ideally a lot of fun for you. You'll have a chance to learn and then share a lot of Google tips and tricks. So if you are interested, does anybody know they're interested now? Somebody? Anybody? Okay. All right, a few. I probably should do this over again because there should be more hands, but in any case, if you're interested in being a Google Guide, you can start anytime. Give us a call, give us an email. We're going to be around out here in the back. You can reach out to us at, You can reach out to us at psprojectteam@berkeley.edu. And we'll make sure that you get that information available to you as well somewhere else. So, but please, if you're interested in being Google Guide, and to be honest with you, I've already gotten a number of emails from people who, even before we said we would like to have this body of persons working with us, they reached out and said they were interested in being early adopters. So a number of your peers and colleagues have already volunteered. We'd like to see a lot more. Ideally, we'll have someone in every building, in every department, serving as a Google Guide. And I promise you, it will be fun. I think it'll be fun. Okay. So, and actually, before I close, I just want to say one other thing about the training. We talked about training, and I probably should have mentioned this earlier, but we have been talking a lot about the training for email and calendar. Stian talked a little bit about the on-premise solutions that are available, and I just want to remind everybody that there is training for some of these new solutions. It's here. Adobe, the Microsoft Excel, I know a few people have already signed up and have been doing some of the advanced Excel classes. So now that you have access to some of these new software, these updated softwares, in some cases some things you may not have touched before in the Adobe space, please know that there are classes that continue to go on through the CoreWe and CalPAC office, and so I encourage you to sign up to learn how to use those tools if you have not. And also know that there are, Adobe in particular, offers some great support and training in that area on their website, okay? And so, I think that would be then, Gabe, or? The classes, so I was saying that for, the CoreWe office and the CalPAC team in particular has courses for Adobe and Excel, and they actually have representatives just in the room behind this wall, so you might want to stop by there. But I just wanted to throw that out there and say that the training for Productivity Suite in its entirety, email and calendar is coming, but some of the other tools are already happening, and so you should really look into those. Okay.
Thanks, Inez.
Okay.
So there's a lot of activity going on, and this is just a slice of it, though these are the people that are leading it, as well as Bernie and Mimi that you're going to meet during the questions and answers in the other room. This is a high-level schedule of where we're going with this project. The goal of this project is to have 80% of all CalMail users migrated to the Google solution by the end of this year. So there's going to be some people at the end, and that last 20% we've already scheduled out for between December and through May, but it's going to be run more in an operational setting as opposed to a formal project setting. But it's all part of the OE solution. And I don't know if you can look at these detailed texts in here, but this will be all online. Also, we'll have additional information from each of the speakers with regards to links to go to. Gabe's conversation on the various areas of privacy and the other elements, there's additional text on those slides. So if you can go afterwards, Bill, I know you've mentioned where that's going to be. Okay. No, I mean there's going to be a slide set though, right? That they can click on the OE website. So you'll see more on there. And the way we communicate, we also use more than just email. We have a tweet set up. You can find all these links. We also are going to have more collaboration spaces and forums where different groups can be able to communicate as we go through the migration, and then when you move into operations, you'll be able to communicate with other end users with similar interests. So this is a platform that will just keep growing with more applications that get put in. Additionally, we're going to be communicating with the Box team and trying to provide a more of an integrated solution, both from the provisioning side as well as from the migration elements and the tiered support, working with shared services for Tier 1 and Tier 2 services in the long-term operations. If you look at the boxes, though, we can see that we're still developing the Berkeley solution in the February, March, and some in the April timeframe. In May, we're going to be using power user training, preparing them for an important migration of the Cal agenda, which is going to be moved in July. And we have like a 2-week window right now between the 9th of July and the 20th. That may move back and forth because we have to fit in with campus close and other elements of campus activity. So we're trying to find the sweet spot where we can move everybody over, because the calendar has to be moved all at once. All the email migrations can be done by department or individual or various types of groupings. And so those are going to start up also in the June timeframe. And then we'll be moving those, and we'll be discussing in May what the sequence is, and we'll be communicating with campus on who should go first, what goes second, where's the sweet spots for you for those migrations. And then finally, there's some conversation. There's some groups that are not on CalMail today, but they will be moving. They want to move to CalMail like last week. And so we're having conversations with them on what's the right sequence to go through. And for the most part, they'll be waiting to go to Google Direct. But there's also data conversations and how they handle their files now. So it's more complex than the basic flow, but we've got it somewhat managed. So the last person to speak today will be Joseph, who's with STC, and it's from a perspective of what does it look like from the students, and what do they think about this whole thing called OE Productivity Suite.
In addition to myself, I'd like to introduce my colleague Iris Tien, who did a lot of the OE Productivity Suite recommendations before my time. So I'd like to start off with her to give her perspective on how the SEC got involved with the Productivity Suite.
Hi everyone, I'm Iris Tien, and I'm a PhD student here at Berkeley. And I was actually one of the founding members of the Student Technology Council 3 years ago. And so we're known as the STC, and what we do is our job is to assess student technology needs and find ways to meet them. And so last year when we heard about these OEIT discussions, we really thought that there was the potential for students to benefit specifically with regards to the software and hardware discussions. And so I was actually a member of the OEIT design team, and I went to their meetings, and really what came out of that was that I wrote up a document of recommendations from the STC on behalf of OEIT. And part of those recommendations were that in these discussions that the campus is having, negotiating with different software providers, that we really thought that it was important for students to be involved in those discussions and to potentially benefit from whatever negotiations took place. And so the result from those efforts is that I'm sure many of you, hopefully most of you know of the free software that's available to students now. And specifically the Adobe software and also the Microsoft software. So that was really part of the STC's effort to have students benefit from all these OE initiatives, and also for students to have this software available to them to benefit their technology needs and to improve their experience on campus. And so currently this year, we're in the process of increasing awareness among students of the availability of this software for download. And so specifically for Adobe, we are holding this campus-wide contest to design a t-shirt for Cal. So this could be really any t-shirt that students want to design. It could be for a club, a dorm, a sports team, a fraternity, a sorority. And the whole idea behind this is to first get students to be aware of the Adobe software download opportunity, and also to actually download the software and really engage with what they have available. And so we're in the process of this right now. If you interact with students, we encourage them to submit to this contest. Submissions are due April 2nd, and you can find more information on the STC's website, which is stc.berkeley.edu. And part of this contest effort was also we had Adobe come on campus and hold some training sessions that students were able to attend to really learn how to use the software and really engage with the software. And so that's it from my end, and now I'll hand it over to Joseph to talk a little bit more about students.
Hi guys, my name is Joseph Limafendi. I'm a third-year computer science major here at Cal. So I'd like to talk a little bit about the value added to students by the Productivity Suite. So the SEC holds different competitions along the school year, and a lot of the students who participate in them have come up to us and said, thank you for this Productivity Suite. They've actually cited that they really use Adobe and Microsoft and really are glad they have this software available to them. Although this is just a couple students here and there saying thank you to us, we're working with the ASUC and the Graduate Assembly, the two bodies of student government here at Cal, to really analyze the metrics behind student usership and also seeing how students like the software in general. So we've been working with them to really see if students might be interested in paying for this in the future through a technology referendum. And so right now we're just in the preliminary stages of seeing if students are interested, gauging what they think about it, and we're working actively with them right now to see if that's possible. In terms of our activity and our participation in the Productivity Suite, we've been mainly the student-facing marketing team, and also for Adobe and coming up Microsoft. So we've been working with the Adobe team, the Adobe individuals who are the leads on their side, and just talking to them and seeing how they can develop training resources for Cal students, and also providing marketing materials to make sure that students know what is available to them. And so we've been having conversations monthly with them to really provide them feedback on how they can better serve Cal, our students, and also have the best value add to everyone here at Berkeley. And so we've been working with Sion's team and Bill's team to make this a reality. And so we've also been working, we've had conversations with Bernie and Mimi with mail and calendar, just to offer our support to them in any way we can to make sure that the student voice is heard in the implementation and rollout of the calendaring and mail. And so we've also been a resource to all students and providing them, working with Adobe to provide them training, as Iris said earlier, and also being a one-stop hub for students to go to really see what downloads are available. So on our website, stc.berkeley.edu, we have a list of the softwares that students can download. And we also, students can also email our email, and we can direct them to resources that will help them get started in downloading the product, using the product, and also other resources that they can use to accomplish whatever goal they're seeking to do with the products they have in the productivity suite. And so it's a great value add to the student population here at Cal. We're looking to have concrete numbers to really show that students like the software that we're giving them, and seeing what softwares they're interested in having in the future within the productivity suite. So we're glad to be part of this initiative, being part of this OE, providing the student feedback. It's really good to see how the team is very receptive to how what students feel and what students want. And we're really glad to be able to offer that feedback. And so that's pretty much what I have to say about students. And I'd like to turn it back to Alex. Thank you.
So you can see I have all the fun of working with a lot of smart people, and they're actually fun to work with. And we would love to have some of you get involved with us through the Google Guides section. Now we have one more item, right, Inez? Okay, and I think we've got 5 minutes to do that. And don't downplay this. This is a big step here. We've gone from a very chaotic environment, and we're pushing towards, by the end of 2012, having a system set up, and it's just been approved with the Common Goods funding, where it's an FTE cost of $66 per year, where we saw that when people were actually having to get things, it was this much. And we're able to spread it among all the people on campus as opposed to the haves and the have-nots. So.
So part of my job is to do all of the fun stuff, and so while they're working with details and things like that, I get to plan all the good stuff. And so how many of you participated, any of you, in the naming contest for the Google Solutions? Seriously, nobody in this room? Whoa, 2? That's it? We had, okay, there's somebody, okay. So there was a naming contest because we decided it's a solution, email and calendar, it's for you. We had 1,154 people that entered possible names for either. The winner was to get the winner of each, calendar and email, just to bring you guys all up to speed. We promised a $250 Amazon gift card for the person who chose the name of the email, the same for the person who chose the name of the calendar. And so, as not to dissuade those who don't find themselves to be particularly creative, we also did a random drawing for anybody who submitted anything of $50 for an Amazon card, and there were 2 of those. So I promised in that contest that went out to campus that I would then announce the new name, with some caveats that Bill Allison's going to tell you about, for the new Google Calendar and email solution. And I think actually, Bill, you were going to do the honors of opening the envelope, and right? It's kind of a...
See, I got the really fun stuff.
Yeah.
I got to open the envelope and give away money.
You're going to start with the random drawing, and you're going to let them know, and for those streaming, since nobody in here actually played, who gets...
I counted 4 hands.
Okay, 4, okay. So maybe one of those 4 is on this. So for a $50 Amazon gift card for their submission in the random drawing...
We have Carolyn Core.
Carolyn Chor, who probably isn't here.
And Kenneth Laska.
And Kenneth Laska. So Carolyn and Kenneth, $50. Thank you for your submission. Maybe you're watching out there. Which one do you want to do first?
Calendar.
Okay, so we're doing the calendar announcement, the name for the new calendar, and the person who selected that name.
So the judges chose, of all of the submissions, BCal for the Berkeley calendar. I think that like B-Space or something like that. And the submitter was Pat Mamoto from the iSchool.
He's also not here. Okay. So, you guys got that? BCal? That? Nothing. Email.
That's positive.
I guess that is, yeah.
And for email,
Probably
were the judges creative? No.
The judges were.
So for mail, they chose B-Mail.
Are you surprised?
And the submitter was Sandra Alexander.
Sandra Alexander.
And congratulations.
Not here.
So the only minor caveats that I wanted to add is we are going to run this by the legal and trademark people to make sure that we can use those names. And then finally, the URLs and server names won't necessarily be those. They'll probably be something like mail.berkeley.edu.
Just so you know that. But BMail and BCal, and even if the legal department says, oh my gosh, you can't do it, Sandra, Pat, you're still getting your gift cards. Okay. So thank you. I think that concludes.
So this is the team, this is the project. We are on time as of today. We do have some tough challenges, and Gabe is on the fence right now, working those things, and so we're going to try to maintain the schedule as best we can, and we're also under budget right now, so we're working hard at it. We have 4 minutes, so if anyone wants to ask a question right now, we can start with that, and then we'll move into the other room. Yes, is there a microphone for her?
Provided there's no notice triggering data.
I'm going to hand over to Bill. I'll start off the question.
Great. Does this mic work? I can get up.
Yeah.
So the answer to that question is absolutely. We are going to make the full suite of Google Apps for Education tools available, as well as tools like Box.net. The Box.net rollout is scheduled, I believe, beginning in May. But don't quote me on that. I'm not the PM. I haven't seen the exact details. But the specific answer to your question is a really important one, and that is about privacy. And there's not a one-size-all answer for privacy considerations. So right now we're working with institutional data governance, the Office of the Chief Privacy Officer for campus, and what I've seen a draft of is a matrix. We like matrices here, by the way. So the matrix identifies the types of uses of data, the tools, the contractual terms that we have on the tools, and what types of uses would be allowable on a per-tool basis. And so we'll be using that for mail, which includes CalMail. So CalMail, the future Google solution, as well as all the tools and all of the other cloud offerings that we have. So there will be guidance coming out on that as part of the rollouts.
Is there a schedule for when that's going to be finalized?
Right now, the teams are working. I think what we should do is, this is a great question, but we'll publish an FAQ within the next month, and we will also send out an update for those of you who are subscribed to the OE updates list with some of these things in draft.
Thank you.
We probably have only 1 more minute left, so.
So my question is about equipment. So we have equipment that are obviously on the current kiosk state. So of course our career staff are going to have the highest equipment. But then as we start to migrate them down in terms of recycle them out, our student stations aren't as fast as our other. So if I look at this, I would think absolutely the career staff, whether it's 80 or 20 or 100 people, can get the $66. But what about every student station and that? Because we have to have a certain type, at least at a certain level, in order to sign them up. We say we wanted to pay for every student station, but the equipment or the computer sitting on the desk.
We're including student employees when we're looking at the employee costs there. That's the short answer. I think longer answer we'd have to take out to the foyer because it's probably a back and forth to clarify. So are we out of time? Great. Thank you, everybody.